The neon sign outside the Twilight Haven Motel flickered, its violet and orange glow pulsing against the vast Arizona night. Vacancy, it hummed, the letters trembling like a secret half-told. Route 66 stretched beyond it, a dark vein through the desert, where the wind whispered stories of those who passed and never looked back. Inside room 17, the air was thick with the scent of old carpet and faint lavender from the cheap air freshener plugged into the wall. I sat on the edge of the bed, the springs creaking softly, my fingers smoothing the hem of my sapphire blue dress, its fabric clinging to my thighs in the desert's lingering heat. The lamp on the nightstand cast a warm, honeyed glow, its shade frayed, throwing soft shadows across the peeling wallpaper, faint outlines of cacti, a nod to the world outside. My name's Evie. I'm 30, though the years on this highway make me feel both older and ageless, like the desert itself. I work the motels along Route 66, from Tucumcari to Needles, where the lost and the lonely pause before moving on. It's not the life I chose, but choice is a luxury that dries up out here, like rain in July. Tonight, I waited in room 17, the clock's red digits blinking 10:58 p.m., each tick louder than the hum of the desert beyond the window. My nails, painted a deep crimson, caught the light, though one was chipped, a small imperfection that seemed to scream in the quiet. He was due soon. The client, I mean. He'd called my burner phone earlier, his voice soft but precise, asking for Evie at the Twilight Haven, room 17. Cash only, half up front, half after. Standard. But there was something in his tone, a quiet urgency, like he was speaking from a place he couldn't stay long. It lingered with me, like the aftertaste of diner coffee, as I sat here, a cigarette burning between my fingers, the ash dusting the carpet like snow. The curtains, gauzy and worn, swayed faintly, though the window was shut tight. The desert's hum was constant outside, broken only by the low growl of a truck rolling past, its headlights slicing through the room like a blade. I stood, smoothing my dress, and crossed to the mirror above the dresser. My reflection stared back, dark hair loose around my shoulders, eyes rimmed with kohl, lips a soft rose that felt too bold for this place. I looked like someone else, someone who had it together, but inside, I was a tangle of nerves, same as every night. You'd think I'd be numb to it by now, but every knock feels like a first. I lit another cigarette, the match flaring bright, and leaned against the dresser, the wood cool under my palms. My mind drifted to the diner across the highway, its jukebox stuck on Patsy Cline, the pie always too sweet. To the girl I used to be, back in Santa Fe, sketching in her notebook, dreaming of art galleries and city lights. Funny how dreams fade, how they turn into nights like this, waiting in a motel room for a stranger's shadow. A knock came at the door, gentle but deliberate, pulling me back. My heart skipped, though I'd done this 100 times. I stubbed out the cigarette in the ashtray, its glass heavy and scratched, and took a breath. Just a moment, I called, my voice steadier than I felt. I checked my reflection one last time, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear, and crossed to the door. My heels sank into the carpet, each step slow, like I was walking toward a truth I wasn't ready for. I opened the door, and there he was. Tall, wiry, with a face softened by time, maybe late 30s, with dark hair streaked with silver and eyes a pale gray, like storm clouds before rain. He wore a faded black jacket, its sleeves rolled up, and carried a camera bag, old and leather, slung over one shoulder. His hands were steady, one gripping the strap, the other tucked in his pocket, but his eyes held a quiet intensity, like he was seeing more than just me. "Evie," he said, my name soft in his mouth, his voice carrying that same urgency from the phone, like a whisper in a crowd. "That's me," I said, stepping aside. "Come in." He hesitated, his eyes searching mine, like he was looking for something he'd lost. Then he stepped inside, the camera bag brushing the doorframe. And I closed the door, the lock clicking softly. The room felt smaller with him in it, the air heavier, like we were trapped in a photograph not yet developed. He set the bag down by the bed, its leather creaking, and glanced around the room. "Quiet place," he said, his voice low, almost a murmur. I smiled, leaning against the dresser. "If you like the sound of trucks and neon, it's perfect." He chuckled, a soft sound that warmed the room, and sat in the chair by the window, his jacket rustling. The neon light filtered through the curtains, painting his face in shades of violet and orange, and for a moment, he looked like a figure from a dream, both here and not. I sat on the bed, crossing my legs, and lit another cigarette, offering him one. He shook his head. "Don't smoke," he said. "Bad for the hands." I raised an eyebrow, exhaling a thin stream of smoke. "Photographer?" He nodded, his eyes distant. "Yeah. Used to be more serious about it. Now it's just a habit." I watched him, curious despite myself. The silence stretched, not awkward but heavy, like we were both waiting for the other to speak. Outside, a truck roared past, its headlights sweeping through the room, throwing stripes of light across his face. I shifted, uncrossing my legs, and stubbed out the cigarette. "You got a name?" I asked, though I didn't expect the truth. "Luke," he said, surprising me. His eyes met mine, and there was something in them, a flicker of recognition, or maybe memory. It made my stomach twist, like I'd seen him before, though I knew I hadn't. "Luke," I repeated, testing it. It felt familiar, like a word I'd sketched in a margin once. I stood, crossing to the window, my dress brushing my thighs. The neon sign buzzed outside, its light flickering, and I felt him watching me, his gaze steady, like he was framing me in his lens. "You take pictures of people?" I asked, not turning around. "Sometimes," he said. "When they've got a story." I turned, my heart racing. "And me? Got a story worth shooting?" He leaned forward, his elbows on his knees, his eyes locked on mine. "I think you do, Evie. More than you know." The words hit me like a gust of desert wind, stealing my breath. Nobody talked to me like that. Nobody saw me like that. I was a shadow, a transaction, a name they forgot by dawn. But Luke looked at me like I was a subject, a story, and it scared me more than anything. The silence grew thick, the lamp flickering, the neon sign humming outside. And then, from the camera bag, came a sound, a soft, muffled thud, like something heavy had shifted inside. Luke's face changed, his eyes darkening, and my heart stuttered, the air suddenly cold. The thud from the camera bag hung in the air, low and heavy, like a note played too hard on a piano. I froze, my eyes darting to the bag, its leather gleaming faintly under the lamp's amber glow. Luke didn't move, his hands still on his knees, but his face was tense, his jaw tight, like he was holding something back. The air felt thicker now, charged with a secret neither of us wanted to name. Outside, the desert hummed, the neon sign flickering, and a distant truck's rumble faded into the night, leaving only the sound of my own pulse in my ears. "Luke," I said, my voice low, "what's in the bag?" He looked at me, his gray eyes shadowed, and for a moment, I thought he'd deflect, say it was nothing. But then he sighed, a heavy sound, and ran a hand through his hair, the silver strands catching the light. "It's not what you're thinking," he said, his voice rough. "It's complicated." "Complicated?" I stood, crossing my arms, my nails digging into my skin. "You bring something into my room that sounds like that, and you call it complicated?" He flinched, like I'd touched a wound, and stood, pacing to the window. The neon light painted his face in violet, his reflection faint in the glass, like a man half erased. "I'm not here to hurt you, Evie," he said. "I swear it." "Then tell me," I said, stepping toward him, my heels silent on the carpet. "What's in there?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he leaned against the window, his hands in his pockets, and stared out at the highway. The stars were brighter now, sharp against the sky, and the desert's hum was louder, like it was listening. "It's a part of me," he said finally, his voice barely above a whisper. "Something I've been carrying too long." My heart raced, and I thought of the camera bag, its weight, its secrets. I wanted to push, to demand answers, but something in his voice stopped me, a rawness, like he was unraveling. I'd heard that tone before, in my own voice, in the quiet moments when I sketched in my mind, trying to draw the girl I'd lost. I sank onto the bed, my hands gripping the edge, the mattress creaking under me. The lamp flickered, its light weaker now, and the room felt smaller, the walls closer. "Tell me about it," I said, softer now. "Your photography. The stories you chase." He turned, his eyes meeting mine, and for a moment, he looked like he might shut me out. But then he sat beside me, the mattress dipping under his weight, and his voice was low, like he was confessing to the stars. "I used to travel," he said. "All over, small towns, big cities, places nobody remembers. I'd take pictures of people, not posed, just real. Their eyes, their hands, their silences. I thought I could capture something true." "What happened?" I asked, my voice quiet, like I was afraid to break the spell. He looked down, his hands clasped, the jacket rustling. "I saw too much," he said. "Too much pain, too much loss. I stopped seeing beauty. Just shadows." I nodded, my throat tight. I thought of my own sketches, the ones I'd burned when I left Santa Fe, the ones that held too much of me. "I used to draw," I said, not looking at him. "Portraits, mostly. Faces I'd see in diners, on buses. I thought I could keep them with me, like they'd mean something." He looked at me, his eyes softening. "You still draw?" "Sometimes," I said, my voice barely audible. "When I can't sleep." "Show me," he said, his voice low, earnest. It wasn't a demand, but a plea, like he needed to see something real. I hesitated, my heart racing, but then I stood, crossing to the dresser where I kept a small notebook, hidden under my clothes. I pulled it out, its pages worn, and sat beside him, flipping to a sketch, a woman at a bus stop, her face tired but kind. I handed it to him, my hands trembling. He took it, his fingers brushing mine, and studied the drawing, his face soft, like he was seeing something holy. "This is good, Evie," he said. "Really good. You've got a gift." The words hit me like a warm breeze, stealing my breath. I looked away, my chipped nail glaring under the light. "It's just a hobby," I said, though I didn't believe it. "It's more than that," he said, handing the notebook back, his eyes locked on mine. "It's you." We sat there, the lamp flickering, the neon sign humming outside. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. We talked, about art, about the road, about the things we'd left behind. He told me about a photo he'd taken once, of an old man in a diner, his hands cradling a coffee cup like it was all he had. I told him about a sketch I'd done of my mother, her eyes sad but strong, before she passed. We laughed, soft and careful, like we were afraid to break the moment. But the camera bag was always there, its thud a shadow at the edge of the room. I tried to ignore it, to focus on Luke, on the warmth of his voice, the way his eyes softened when he looked at me. But it was there, a reminder that this wasn't forever. Dawn was close now, the sky outside turning a soft, bruised purple. The lamp buzzed, its light nearly gone, and the air felt heavy, like it was waiting for something. Luke stood, stretching, and crossed to the window, looking out at the highway. "I should go," he said, but he didn't move. I stood, my heart racing, and stepped toward him. "Stay," I said, the word slipping out before I could stop it. "Just a little longer." He turned, his eyes searching mine, and for a moment, I thought he'd say yes. But then his gaze flicked to the camera bag, and his face changed, like a shutter closing. "Evie," he said, his voice rough, "there's something I need to show you." He crossed to the bag, kneeling beside it, and unzipped it slowly. Inside, among the camera gear, was a small envelope, its edges yellowed. He pulled it out, his hand steady but careful, and handed it to me. "Open it," he said, his voice low. I took it, my fingers trembling, and slid out a photograph, a young girl, maybe 15, sketching at a diner counter, her face focused, her hair dark and loose. My breath caught, my heart pounding. It was me, years ago, in a place I'd forgotten. "Evie," Luke said, his voice breaking, "I've been looking for you." Before I could speak, a sound came from outside, a low, steady hum, like an engine idling. Headlights swept through the curtains, sharp and bright, and the envelope slipped from my hands, the photograph fluttering to the floor. The hum of the engine outside filled the room, low and menacing, like a storm rolling in. The headlights blazed through the curtains, throwing harsh shadows across the walls, and Luke's face was pale, his gray eyes wide with something I couldn't read, fear, or maybe resolve. The photograph lay on the carpet, my younger self staring up at me, a ghost from a life I'd buried. My hands trembled, my heart pounding, as the air grew thick with the scent of dust and panic. The lamp was dead now, the room lit only by the dawn's faint purple glow and the glare of the headlights. The desert's hum was drowned out by the engine's growl, and the crunch of gravel outside signaled someone approaching, slow and deliberate. "Luke," I whispered, my voice shaking, "who's out there?" He didn't answer. He moved to the window, peeling back the curtain just enough to look out. The headlights caught his face, sharpening the silver in his hair, and I saw it again, that weight, that secret he'd carried all this time. The engine growled louder, and the gravel crunched again, closer now, like boots on a mission. "Stay back," he said, his voice tight. He crossed to the camera bag, kneeling beside it, his hands quick as he zipped it shut, the envelope still on the floor. My eyes flicked to the photograph, my younger self frozen in time, and my stomach twisted, questions piling up like sand in a storm. "Luke," I said, stepping toward him, "why do you have that picture? How do you know me?" He stood, the bag over his shoulder, and looked at me, his eyes soft but urgent. "I took it years ago," he said, his voice low. "In a diner in Santa Fe. You were just a kid, sketching, lost in your own world. I saw something in you, something real. I've been carrying it ever since, looking for you." My breath caught, my mind reeling. "Why?" I asked, my voice breaking. "Why me?" He stepped closer, his eyes locked on mine, and for a moment, the world outside disappeared. "Because you reminded me of someone I lost," he said. "My sister. She was an artist, like you. She didn't make it. When I saw you, I thought maybe I could save someone, even if it wasn't her." The words hit me like a wave, stealing my breath. I wanted to speak, to ask more, but the engine outside roared, the headlights brighter now, and the gravel crunched again, right outside the door. Luke's face hardened, and he moved to the door, his hand on the knob. "Evie," he said, turning to me, "you're more than this place. More than this life. Keep drawing. Don't stop. Don't go, I said, my voice breaking, reaching for him, my fingers brushing his jacket. Whatever's out there, we can face it. He shook his head, his face etched with pain. I can't, he said. They're after me, not you. I have to end this. Who's they? I asked, my voice rising, but he was already opening the door. I ran to the window, pulling back the curtain, and saw a black sedan idling in the parking lot, its windows tinted, its engine growling like a beast. Luke stepped outside, the camera bag in hand, his step steady but quick. A man got out of the car, his face hidden in the dawn's shadow, and Luke stopped, raising a hand, like he was trying to negotiate. I couldn't hear their words, but I saw the tension in Luke's shoulders, the way the other man's hand moved to his side, like he was reaching for something. My breath caught, and I pressed my hand against the glass, willing Luke to look back, to see me. But he didn't. He handed the bag to the man, who took it and climbed back into the car. The engine roared, the tires spun, and they were gone, leaving a cloud of dust that glowed in the rising sun. I sank to the floor, my back against the wall, my hands shaking. The photograph was still there, my younger self staring up at me, and I picked it up, my fingers trembling. The room was quiet now, the hum of the desert returning, the neon sign outside still flickering. The first rays of sunlight crept across the carpet, warm and golden, like they didn't know the world had just shattered. I don't know how long I sat there, clutching the photograph, waiting for the door to open again. It didn't. The highway came alive outside, trucks roaring, life moving on. But I couldn't move, not yet. I thought about Luke, about his sister, about the photograph he'd carried all these years. I thought about the girl I'd been, the one who sketched in diners, dreaming of art and freedom. I thought about the woman I was now, and the woman I could be. I stood, my legs unsteady, and crossed to the dresser, where my cigarette pack lay, empty now. I looked at my reflection in the mirror, my makeup smudged, my hair tangled, my eyes red but alive. I didn't look like Evie, the escort, the shadow. I looked like someone who'd been seen, really seen, even if it was just for a night. I packed my things, a few clothes, my notebook, a pencil worn to a nub, and left the room, the door clicking shut behind me. The sun was high now, the desert awake, the highway shimmering under the heat. I walked to my car, a dusty Toyota that had carried me too far, and slid into the driver's seat. The leather was hot, the air thick with dust and memory. I didn't know where I was going. Not back to the motels, not back to the life I'd known. Maybe east, to New York, where the galleries glowed at night. Maybe south, to New Orleans, where the streets sang with color. All I knew was that Luke had seen me, had carried a piece of me all this time, and that was enough to make me want more. I turned the key, the engine coughing to life, and pulled onto Route 66, the road stretching ahead, wide and open. The desert hummed, the sun burned, and in the rearview mirror, the Twilight Haven faded, its flickering neon sign a memory in the light. I thought about Luke, about the photograph, about the life he was running from. I thought about the girl I'd been, the sketches I'd burned, the dreams I'd buried. And then, soft and uncertain, I started to hum, a tune I'd made up as a kid, about a girl chasing the horizon. The notes were shaky, but they were mine, and they filled the car, the highway, the desert. For the first time in years, I felt alive, not whole, but alive, with a bittersweet ache in my heart that told me I was more than this place, more than this life. The road stretched on, and I drove, the sun climbing higher, the world waiting. Wherever Luke was, whatever he was running from, I hoped he'd find his peace. And me? I'd keep driving, keep sketching, keep searching for mine.